Hi everyone, it's Katrina. Number 10. The Clearest UFO. In August of 1990, a pair of hikers near Calvine, Scotland, took a picture of something strange hovering in the sky. The object is believed to have been a UFO. The picture became internationally famous after it was taken and developed. However, for unknown reasons, it was lost for decades. For the first time in 30 years, the picture has now been rediscovered and revealed once again to the public. There is no disputing what can be seen in the photograph. It's a metallic diamond-shaped object hovering in the sky, with what seems to be a fighter jet flying directly behind it. According to the original photographers, the object was emitting a low hum, and it hovered completely still for at least 10 minutes. They took 6 pictures of the UFO and shared them with the Daily Record in Scotland. The newspaper then handed them over to the Ministry of Defense, and for some bizarre reason, the photographs disappeared. During this time, they didn't have the luxury of digital images, so the negatives had to be developed. Once they got into the hands of the Ministry of Defense, they went missing for 32 years. It wasn't until Associate Professor David Clark began investigating that he managed to track one of the prints back to Officer Craig Lindsay. This man was formerly with the Royal Air Force, and he'd been holding on to an original print of the spacecraft for all of these years. What we now have is the clearest UFO picture ever taken. However, the government of the UK is not interested in investigating UFOs since they do not consider them a military threat. Those in charge still insist that the unidentified flying object in this picture is nothing but an optical illusion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Number 9. Pits on the moon. Scientists have discovered mysterious pits on the moon that they believe would be perfect for colonization purposes. In an absolutely bizarre twist, lunar scientists have discovered mysterious holes on the moon's surface, about 200 of them in total, and they are consistently around the average temperature of San Francisco. What this means is that if people are ever going to populate the moon, they could do it inside these craters. The only known places on the lunar surface that remotely resemble any kind of environment on our planet are these craters. Having a stable temperature will make settlements on the moon much easier to maintain, and it means that the first off-world human civilization could be a lot closer than we ever thought possible. The temperature on the moon is anything but ordinary. During the day, some parts of the moon can heat up to a whopping 260 degrees Fahrenheit. When the moon moves out of the sunlight, the temperature can drop to a freezing minus 280 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a difference of 540 degrees, which would make life on the moon extremely challenging. And yet these strange lunar pits are a consistent 63 degrees Fahrenheit, whether it's night or day, making them perfect for human survival. Tyler Horvath from the University of California says one of the hardest parts about building a base on the moon is the night. Apparently, the amount of energy it takes to heat a structure during the lunar night is immense. However, that problem would be totally mitigated if the bases were built inside the lunar pits. Scientists believe these craters could be sinkholes leading down into collapsed lava tubes. The lava tubes are left over from billions of years ago, when the moon was a volcanic nightmare, a space rock covered in a dark sea of boiling magma. Number 8. The 12 Labors of Heracles. Excavations in the ancient city of Sidra, whose history dates back 2,900 years, have revealed a floor mosaic displaying one of the most famous heroes in human history, Heracles. From Greek mythology, Heracles is most known by his Roman name of Hercules. The mosaic was discovered in an ancient Roman bath located in Turkey, and it shows Heracles as he performs his 12 labors. The original Greek myth of Heracles is one of tragedy. He was the son of Zeus and a mortal woman, born with unimaginable strength. However, Zeus's wife Hera was jealous of the demigod for being the product of one of her husband's affairs. In order to enact revenge, Hera imposed a fit of madness onto Heracles, and as a result, he accidentally murdered his wife, Megara. Heracles was so distraught by his actions that he embarked on a quest of redemption to be absolved of his terrible crime. His quest involved 12 labors in total. Greek legend says Heracles traveled all over the world fighting monsters, like the Lernaean hydra, the Cretan bull, the wild Erymanthian boar, and the Nemean lion. This was one of the most popular stories in ancient Greece, and we can see it play out in this ancient mosaic that was just recently discovered. One of the best preserved scenes displayed on this piece of art is of Heracles strangling the fierce Nemean lion. Number 7. Water World. Scientists have discovered a new planet about 100 light-years from Earth that's covered completely by a thick layer of water. It's an ocean planet, slightly larger than Earth, and sits at the exact sweet spot from its star to support life. The planet was found thanks to PhD student Charles Cadieux from the University of Montreal, using NASA's Planet Hunter spacecraft. This instrument is equipped with 4 specialized cameras that it uses to scan the sky for planets within a range of about 300 light-years. It's called the TESS telescope, and it's equipped with the most advanced planet hunting technology available. It was launched back in 2018 and has already found over 170 confirmed exoplanets, with 4,700 that are still waiting to be verified. According to NASA, TESS is about the size of a refrigerator. The newly discovered planet has been named TOI-1452b, and it's orbiting a small star in a binary system located inside the Draco constellation. For now, there is no way of knowing for sure if the planet contains life. However, since it sits in the Goldilocks zone, far enough from the sun not to be scorching hot, but close enough to be moderately warm, it could be the perfect environment for creatures to emerge. It has water, more of it than on our own planet, and the temperature is perfect. Scientists agree that if there is anywhere that has life, it's definitely here. The question is, what kind of life is it? Number 6. Ancient Jungle Empire. An ancient city deep in the jungle of Cambodia, hidden from the world for centuries, was recently revealed using aerial mapping. You may have heard of the more famous Angkor Wat located in the same region, but this place is newly discovered. It's called Mahendra Parvata, and it's believed to have been the very first capital of the Khmer Empire dating back to around the 9th century. Khmer was one of the greatest empires the world has ever seen, dominating most Southeast Asia up until the 15th century. Cambodians have always lived in this region of the country, called Phnom Kulen, yet these ruins went mostly unnoticed and were concealed deep in the forest. Even though archaeologists have known about the city for quite some time, nobody could go to investigate because it's in such a rural area. It's also littered with landmines left over from the days of the Khmer Rouge. The mapping process started back in 2012 with Damien Evans from the French Institute of Asian Studies. He used the LiDAR scanning technique using lasers fired from airplanes. However, the picture wasn't completed, and the crew had to return in 2015 to do more scans. Today, all of those scans have finally been put together to reveal an ancient landscape in the jungle mountains. The city was most likely founded by the first Khmer king, Jayavarman II, although for some unknown reason, the capital didn't last very long. Nobody knows exactly how long it was around, but it was quickly abandoned for the much larger city of Angkor, which in the 9th century was the biggest city in the whole world. The more famous temples of Angkor Wat weren't built until much later, in the 12th century. What do you think happened to this ancient civilization that made them abandon the area so quickly? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Number 5. Weakling pandas. A strange new discovery has revealed that the last living pandas in Europe were giant weaklings. Researchers examined a pair of fossilized teeth which were unearthed during a dig in northwestern Bulgaria back in the 1970s. The teeth ended up being placed in storage at the Bulgarian National Museum of Natural History, and nobody ever properly cataloged the teeth, so they were never studied until now. When the museum staff stumbled upon them again years later, they opened up an investigation. Scientists can learn a lot from just a few teeth. For example, the teeth belonged to a species of ancient European panda that had never been documented before. This is a brand new species, a close relative of modern pandas that lived 6 million years ago. They were most likely the last pandas in Europe, and they may have been even bigger than giant pandas still alive in China today. According to paleontologist Nikolai Spasov, who was involved in the study, this new panda shows just how little we still know about the prehistoric world. If these teeth had never been found, we may have never even known about the giant European panda. It was also discovered that these pandas may have been affected by climate change towards the end of the Miocene epoch, roughly 23 to 5.3 million years ago. The new panda, named A. nikolovi, had weaker teeth than modern-day pandas and ate a strict vegetarian diet. When the Mediterranean Sea dried up about 6 million years ago, the swampy forest in which the giant panda thrived became dry and warm. Plants had a hard time growing, and the pandas couldn't eat anything else because of their weak teeth, and they most likely starved themselves into extinction. Number 4. Mysterious standing stones. One of the biggest archaeological discoveries in European history happened in May of 2022. In Spain, researchers have uncovered a collection of over 500 standing stones. These huge megalithic stones are all that remain of broken ancient structures or monuments buried partially underneath the earth. There is no trace of what had once stood here except for the broken rocks, which hardly even resembles standing stones anymore. The discovery of the stones was made during a preliminary survey of the terrain, which was supposed to be used for an avocado plantation. Instead of becoming a plantation, this is now one of the most important archaeological sites in Europe. According to local archaeologist José Antonio Linares, the stones are most likely from the 5th millennium BC, making them about 7,000 years old. These newly uncovered relics are believed to be older than Stonehenge, and the site is just as big, if not bigger. It's the largest collection of standing stones on the Iberian Peninsula, but they are still a far cry from France's Karnak site, which is home to more than 3,000 of these giant stones. Unfortunately, this discovery is so recent that we still don't know everything about it. Researchers have estimated that it will take them at least 4 years to reveal all the stones, and even then, they still need to survey the surrounding area and extract them all before they can uncover the secrets that these stones hold. Number 3. Jurassic Fish. On a farm in England, researchers came across the fossilized remains of gigantic marine reptiles and horrifying fish from the Jurassic period. These fossils are over 183 million years old, discovered buried under the soft soil on the outskirts of Gloucestershire in the Cotswolds. Over 180 fossils were dug out of the dirt, including the remains of prehistoric squids, gigantic fish, and impressive marine reptiles. By far, the scariest fossil found during the dig is that of the Pachycormus. It's an extinct type of ray-finned fish, and its fossil is so spectacular it looks like it's not even real. It's three-dimensional, with the fish's perfectly preserved head rising out of the rock like a pop-up book. It looks like a trophy you might put above the fireplace, or like one of those singing fish head plaques. The fossil is so immaculate you can still see the eyes of the fish, the imprint of its fins, and its rows of jagged teeth. Scientists also discovered the remains of soft tissues such as scales. The prehistoric reptiles and other Jurassic monsters are all amazing. However, the 3D fossil is unlike anything ever found before. Fossils are almost always two-dimensional, with the imprint of the animals squished flat against a rock. Researchers believe that as soon as the fish died, it was rapidly buried underneath ocean sediments, which protected it for millions of years. But how it managed to maintain its 3D shape is still a mystery. Number 2. Graves of gold. Archaeologists in Romania struck gold when they dug up a prehistoric grave in Bihor County, Crisana. Researchers were looking at an old site that once belonged to the Titsa Polgar culture, a group of early humans who flourished in Eastern Europe during the Copper Age about 6,500 years ago. The remains were identified as belonging to an extremely wealthy woman. When archaeologists opened her grave for the first time since roughly 4,500 BC, they found a small cache of 169 gold rings, plenty of copper bracelets, and about 800 mother-of-pearl beads. This woman was obviously filthy rich in gold, yet nobody knows who she was. It was concluded from their research that she was most likely the leader of a local clan, or she was the wife of a local ruler. The gold had almost definitely come from the Transylvanian archipelago, and the beautifully shining rings would have been put in her hair as decorations. She could have looked like a golden princess in life, adorned with more jewelry than seems humanly possible. How she died or what happened to the Tsitzapolgar culture is still a mystery that scientists are trying to figure out. Number 1. The life of a shepherd. A team of archaeologists working under the Israel Antiquities Authority examined the remains of a skeleton found in a dark and dismal cave in the Judean desert. The skeleton was originally found about 30 years ago, but the researchers wanted to take a closer look and use more advanced technology in order to uncover more secrets from the past. When they analyzed the bones of this individual, they were able to gain remarkable insight into his ancient lifestyle. They were able to create a full history around this guy, who they believed was a Judean shepherd who lived and died sometime between 4500 and 3900 BC. The archaeologists also examined a few different artifacts that were found with the dead shepherd. The man's sandals showed that they had been crafted from cowhide, and from the substance stuck to the bottom of them, they were able to determine that the shepherd had been walking through the dung of domesticated animals. This most likely would have been a daily occurrence for someone in his profession. Looking at his bones, the scientists made all kinds of interesting observations. He had horrible teeth, which proved he may have suffered from malnutrition, yet his bones were thick and strong. He was a physically active and muscular man, but was riddled with health issues by the time he hit 30. He died at around 40 years old, which would have been quite average for the time, and they determined that he had suffered a broken leg shortly before. Thanks for watching! Which of these recent discoveries did you think was the most interesting? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you soon! Bye!